So I feel jealousy all of the time. And this is a feeling I often sort of think about. Is it because I was the youngest in my family? And is there something wrong with me because of that? I was the runt of the family. I was very much the youngest. But I think that this is a real concern that we all deal with, is how do we deal with this jealousy that many of us actually feel? I think it's very much a human emotion. I think it is, evolutionary programmed into us to feel jealousy. And there's only really been two ways that effectively allowed me to move forward, but they're not great. Neither of them are really great. And I still feel very strong jealousy, or that people are getting ahead than me. So I'm a professor, and in my field, that is a big thing, right? We're often measured by a performance. Everybody knows who is who. And these emotions are very, very strong for me. And I'm assuming for most people, if you're watching this, you're probably feeling that jealousy as well. And so these are the two things that work for me. And there's enough research, I think, that backs it, that can, be supported. I'm not directly related. I know of this area quite well. But I have never did anything on jealousy just yet in terms of research. So the first thing is to learn how to distance yourself as much as you possibly can. And the second thing is kind of somewhat related to that. So it's this idea of disassociating and realizing that none of these relationships that you have are really that important. I know that seems really terrible to say out loud, but it's really the truth, right? So you have to focus on the things that are really important to you and think about, okay, who are the people, if they were to die today, what would it be really, really careful, or, it would feel a lot, right? And if you sort of prioritize these things, you start thinking like, oh, I probably shouldn't be that jealous of these particular relationships, because they're really not, their success actually doesn't really impact you that much, right? And that's the key thing, is that much. So a second thing that I think is very important, your environment is everything, right? If you're in an environment that is somewhat more supportive and encouraging, but on top of it, downplays competition, and as well, there's one other thing, that working together is rewarded, and rewarded handsomely, then you may cheer on somebody else, right? Like, you don't feel nearly as bad about success or somebody else's success if you're tied to their success a lot more, right? And figuring out this sort of combination of, how do I tie my success to their success so I can view it and be okay when they're doing better than me, then you sometimes feel a little bit better. I'm not saying that it feels perfect. That feeling honestly doesn't go away from me, and it makes me grumpy a lot of the times. Really, really grumpy and really down. And so the biggest thing, the thing that has really helped me the most, honestly, it's not about tying to somebody else's success. You are in the environment that you're in. You can't really change that much, right? Like, some places it's a little bit different. Some industries a little bit different. I'm in an industry where it's just, that's everything. It's how you perform relative to other people. That's how you actually are evaluated, is like your relative performance compared to everybody else. And it's very, very strong, right? Like, it's a key aspect of the profession, is this sort of rating compared to everybody else in a very narrow definition of what success looks like. And the rest of it doesn't count. By the way, none of this counts, right? Like, none of the stuff that I do that you see counts. And so the only way that I can deal with that is to disassociate as much as possible and say, that's not me, right? Like, I know that there is a lot more to it than then the one thing that everybody measures, the only thing that measures in my profession is publications. It's different even within the whole academic game. It could be, grants and things like that. Prestige. I know in some other countries, they actually do like some of this stuff, right? Like communicating with the public and stuff. But in the country that I'm in, and as well as the sort of industry that I'm in, it's not necessarily that warranted, right? Like it's just nobody cares about that, right? And so it's not measured. And so the only thing that I need to do is figure it out. Okay, I need to step out and disassociate and think about things that are more important, such as family, such as, just finding things that give me rewards in other ways that cannot be measured. Having time off, looking, completely disassociating as much as possible. And if you do that, things somehow change in your mind in terms of how you deal with things. Not great. It's still there, but it's the best that you can do given the resources that you have on hand. Hopefully this helps you out. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.